Hello YouTubers, I'm Parvez and this is our 30-second video in learning Django 2.1. In the previous video we have learned about multi-table model inheritance in Django. In this video we are going to talk about proxy model inheritance in Django. So let me first introduce the proxy model inheritance in Django. Before this we have saw abstract base class model inheritance also, and the second was multi-table model inheritance. So in abstract base class model inheritance there will not be any table for our base class in the database, but in multi-table inheritance we will have table for our base class and also derived class. So proxy model is a type of Django inheritance which you can inherit from your base class, and you can add your own properties except fields. So when you're going to create a proxy model in Django, you cannot add fields in that proxy model. You can just add your own properties. And also when you're going to create a proxy model, the class that you want to inherit in your proxy model, it should not be an abstract class. And also we cannot use multiple inheritance in proxy models. So the main usage of a proxy model is to override the main functionality of existing model. It always query on original model with overridden methods or managers. You can query, delete, edit, create, etc. on proxy model, but the effects will be on the original model. So when I'm going to create an example, you will see that what I mean. So I'm going to create open my models.py, and in here I want to create my model. So first let me because I want my model should inherit from the user, from my super user. So I want to import from Django dot from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models import user. Okay, so now I'm going to create my model in here. So I want my model should be my user, and it inherits from the user class. And we have mentioned that in proxy model class we cannot add fields, but we can add properties. So I'm going to create a class meta, and in here first I'm going to add an ordering. So you can add an ordering to your proxy model. It is a tuple, and I want it should be according to the username. And also I have already created at main panel a super user. You can see, let me log in to my super user. Okay, now this is my super user, and if I go to my users, you can see I have a user. Let me just wait for this. Okay, now you can see I have a user at name of this was my super user. This is my super user, and I can open this. So now this is the information of my super user, and alright, now you can see I have these information for my super user. Let me add a first name also. So okay, just right now I'm leaving it blank. So now we have created our my user that inherits from our Django user. And now when you're going to create a proxy model, you need to make the proxy to true. So proxy true. Okay, Now we have created our proxy model. After this, let me migrate this, and let me create a new session. So cd my project, python manage.py, make migrations. First let me make migrations, and after that, okay, now the migration is completed, and you can see create proxy model my user. And after that, let me python manage.py migrate, and this migrate will add our this my user to my database. So now the migrate also completed, and let me open my admin. I want to add my this model to my admin. From dot models, import my user, and in here admin dot site dot register, okay, dot site dot register, and I want to register my user. Okay, now if I refresh my admin panel, you will see that let me go to the home, and in here you can see I have my users. If I click on my user, I have this my super user in here. You can see I have these in here. So using now let me just open my Django shell, and I want to show you something. Okay, now I'm going to create a new session, and in here cd my project, okay, python manage.py shell. Now by using your proxy model you can bring some changes. Okay, now this is my Django shell. So first let me show you import from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models, import user. Let me create a user. So user dot objects, sorry, user dot objects dot all. Okay, now you can see I have a user in here, but this is related to my user model. So now I'm going to from my app dot models import my user, and let me create a UN, or you can directly say my user dot objects dot all. Now you can see I have the same user, but now it's related to my user class. Also you can, for example, you can create method in here. So let me show you. Now let me first open my admin panel, and let me home. So in the my user, I want to bring some change. If I add something like, for example, let me open, and in the first name field let me add another, for example, first name I want to add, let me add it like this, and the last name let me add it like this. Okay, now if I save this, I have brought this change in my user. Now I'm going to check my Django user in here, and you will see that it brings the change to my base class. Yeah, you can see now first name is different and last name is like this. So let me just show you that how you can add methods in here. So for example, I want to print the full name, so the full name, and the full name, self, okay. Now in here I'm going to return self. I want to return the first name and also the last name. So self dot first name plus I want to concatenate this also with the last name, self dot last name, self dot last name. Okay, now I'm going to open my Django shell and I want to access this this method using my proxy model. So in here let me just create a new session and cd my project python manage dot py shell. I am waiting for the shell. So okay, now first let me from my app dot models import my user. So I'm going to create my user dot objects dot all, and I want the first user. So now u dot full name, I want to access the full name. You can see now the full name is like this. I have the full name, but if I, for example, if I from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models import user, and let me create u2 user dot objects dot all, and I want to the for example the first user, and u2 dot full name. It will give you an error. You can see that user object does not attribute full name because this full name is related to the proxy model, and you can do different stuff for this. For example, I want to using my I have created a user object, so I want to update. So you can do this. For example, my user dot objects dot update, and I want to update, for example, my username. Before this it was Parvez, so I want to change this to, for example, John. Okay, hit enter. Now if I check first let me check my user, my proxy model. You can see now it's changed to John, but if I check my base class users, you can see that it's also changed like this. So if I remove this, let me remove this from I remove this from my admin. So let me open my users, and I want to remove this my user. If I remove this, and yes, sure, you will see that I will log out from my admin panel. And now if I go to for example, it was John, and if I write my password, I will not able to access to my admin panel, because the purpose of a proxy model is that you can Using the proxy model, you can bring when you bring change using proxy model objects, so the base class data will be changed. So thank you guys. If you have any question, please let me know, and for the further videos, don't forget subscription of my channel.